1, 2, 3, 4. Microphone check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Morning, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Aquatic Centre has been a real windfall for Singapore in terms of gold medals from swimming. 11 gold medals so far, including 5 of 6 yesterday, and what was a near perfect day 3 of competition. Well, there are 6 individual events today, culminating with the relays that will happen in the evening sessions, and heats in the morning includes a final as well, a timed final in the women's 800 meters freestyle. The start list for heat number 1 of the men's 200 meters individual medley includes Pang Shengjin of Singapore's clocked the second fastest time this year in Southeast Asia, and Lionel Koo, the breaststroke specialist who just missed out on the medals a couple of nights ago, is also included in the 200 IM for the first time at the SEA Games. Gerald Koh joins me, and you surprised with the inclusion of Lionel in this event?
A little bit, but obviously he's a breaststroke specialist. So as we spoke about earlier, you know, we found out that actually breaststrokers make very good individual medley swimmers as well, given that breaststroke's the slowest leg of that race, and that's when you know, can make a big difference in terms of a good breaststroker and someone that's the weaker stroking.
Well, Pang Shengjin has had near misses in his career in terms of bagging that individual gold medal. He has won gold medals in the relays in his SEA Games career. He is, of course, the Singapore team captain, men's team captain, alongside Joseph Schooling. And in terms of individual medalists, he is right up there, Shengjin, with, I believe, a silver medal that he has won, and a bronze medal too. It all came in 2015, and this year a near miss recently in the 400 meters freestyle. Jesse Kung Lacuna, who himself has got a couple of silvers and a couple of bronze medals in his individual career in the SEA Games, and 2 medals as well in the relays. So heat number 1 of day 4's morning sessions starts with the 200 meters individual medley for men. The hot favourites, at least the fastest time from this year, belongs to Triadi Fauzi, but there's also a certain Keaton Nutapong, who's already a gold medalist and a 2011 champion in this event, who will be in the field and in heat 2. So getting off to a very good start in the butterfly is actually Lionel Koo of Singapore, who will turn, well, actually Lacuna of the Philippines, we're not surprised by it. The butterfly and the freestyle, his favorite of the 4 strokes here.
The other thing that we spoke about as well, you know, usually you don't see backstrokers and breaststrokers. You don't see swimmers being good at the backstroke and breaststroke at the same time, and I think that's a case in point as you look at this right now. You can see that Lionel Koo has been taken over by most of the other swimmers, but watch the next leg, right? That's his specialty. He's going to swim blow past probably the rest of the field in the next lap.
And we're not surprised that Tran Du Khoi has led after the halfway stage, because he is a backstroke specialist, having finished 4th yesterday in the 200 meters backstroke. He was a silver medalist in this event in 2015. In fact, it's Pang Xingjun in the breaststroke making his move now, and if he hits the turn going into the freestyle for the final 50 meters, it'll mean that most likely Xingjun will be taking this heat. Lionel, with those long stroke cycles, perhaps knowing it's a heat, saving himself a little bit and probably quickening his strokes for the final in itself as they head into the freestyle leg, and probably the 4 of them will qualify for the final this evening. There are only 9 swimmers in 2 heats, so only 1 will be eliminated, and these 4 swimmers will fancy themselves for a shot in the finals. It will be Pang Xingjun. As I said, if he turns on the breaststroke leg ahead, he will be winning this heat, and sure enough he does. Tran will come in second spot, just ahead of Lionel Koo of Singapore, and Jesse Kung Lacuna finishing in 4th spot. But most likely these 4 swimmers will be in the final this evening, led of course by Singapore's Pang Xingjun. And there are high hopes that this might be the night where Xingjun breaks his individual gold medal drought at the SEA Games.
He looked really comfortable there, especially on the freestyle. You could see that he took his, he was taking his foot off the pedal towards the last 25, and he just glided into the wall. But he's still not too far away from his best time. I think his best time is like 2:04. His personal best is 2:04, 2:03, and he did a 2:05, right? So I think he's got a lot left in the tank for tonight's events.
So Xingjun and Lionel in his very first SEA Games taking part in this event. He actually won the ASEAN University Games, Lionel Koo, and the 200 meters individual medley that probably got him the passport for the SEA Games. You look at Lionel during that breaststroke leg as well, Gerald. He did look very comfortable and really going through the motions more than anything. I'm sure that he's going to be picking up his stroke cycle this evening when it comes to the finals.
I think he would. The 200 individual medley is actually a sprint of four different strokes, right? It's not like the 400 individual medley where you still have to pace yourself out. And because you're using different muscles in the 200 individual medley, all 4 different strokes, you can afford to sprint every single lap because you don't tire out as quickly as you do, let's say, in a 200 meter freestyle where you're doing 4 laps of the same stroke. So to answer your question, yes, probably this evening when we see Lionel do the breaststroke leg, he's probably going to have to quicken up his strokes a little bit rather than do that long, slow 200 meter breaststroke kind of strokes that he was doing this morning.
Well, talking about those beautiful 200 meters long stroke cycles, long drags, and getting super propulsions. That man won that way, that style, just 2 nights ago. Keaton Nutapong, and he is in this heat with the hot favorites, Triadi Fauzi. Triadi's got the quickest time in Southeast Asia this year, the only one to go below 2:03, 2:12, which he clocked in finishing second at the Islamic Solidarity Games. So Paul Nguyen, who is really enjoying himself in his very first SEA Games, having chalked up a couple of bronze medals already in the 50 fly and the 50 meters backstroke. Well, that is Keaton Nutapong, who has trained so much in the breaststroke for the last couple of years just to get right back into the mix of things and winning it. Will that winning feeling continue, and will that be a momentum booster for this 200 meters individual medley, which he's usually very, very good at, but he has admitted that he hasn't trained much in this event for the past 2 years, getting right back into this. Triadi will be very strong in the butterfly leg, and he'll be very strong in the backstroke, should I say the freestyle leg as well, heading home. So no surprise here that the Indonesian has taken the early lead, trying to just lay down that marker and stamp his authority at the start for cruising over the next 2 strokes and then coming home in the freestyle leg. So Triadi in the lead, slightly ahead of Lim Cheng Huang of Malaysia, another butterfly specialist. So he'll be looking forward to the freestyle leg after having turned in second spot. And after this next stroke is where Nutapong does his job and his business.
It does, right? Again, same case here where you see Keaton suffering on the backstroke, because the backstroke and breaststroke again go well together. But I'm sure on this third lap, you'll see him catch up with the rest of the competitors.
Ching Huang with a very good backstroke leg, really. It's not really his favorite stroke, but he has turned in first place ahead of Triadi, who is strong in the breaststroke, deceptively strong, as I'd like to say. And Ching Huang putting a show on here for his home crowd. And Keaton comes right back into the mix. At the top of your screen, in black cap, slowly catching up with Triadi and Ching Huang. And heading to the freestyle leg. It's where it's Triadi's turn to usually do his business. So from fourth to first, over 50 meters in the breaststroke alone. That's how strong and how quick Nutapong can be. Ching Huang and Triadi surely through to the finals, along with Keaton Nutapong. And there'll be a huge fight against Jesse Kung Lacuna. Whoever finishes in the bottom placings in this race, it's most likely Jordan Yip. That fight will be on with Lacuna. Ching Huang, comfortable, impressive. Sidek in second spot. Triadi Taufik and Keaton Nutapong, who's got a lot more left in his tank, coming in third place. Well, he is a swimmer, Ching Huang, who has been pretty strong in the butterfly events at the SEA Games over the past couple of editions. And this year showing a lot more interest in the individual medley races. To get himself in the mix, 2:03.80 is his PB this year, which he clocked at the Malaysian Open. But it is pretty interesting, as you're saying, Gerald, you know, sometimes in the 200 meters individual medley it can be pretty deceptive, because you might have a strong personal favorite stroke amongst the four, but if you lag behind a little bit, it might be too little too late in terms of catching up, because it's not like the 400 where you have 100 meters of your favorite stroke to catch up and make sure that you are in the mix.
It is. It's only one lap of each stroke, right? So you're absolutely right that you don't really have much time to catch up. Again, the best time to catch up is really for the breaststrokers during that third leg, where it's the slowest leg of the race, and you have more time to catch up on. Triadi, I think, you know, we saw Triadi swimming. He qualified second in his heat, but he saw that he really took it very easy on a freestyle. I mean, he's a freestyle specialist, but on that last lap, you saw him just relaxing, making sure that he just got into the finals.
So the fastest qualifier is Pang Cheng Jin, the only one to dip below 2:06. Jesse Kung Lacuna does get into the final, so missing out on the final will be Jordan Yip of Malaysia. Lionel Koo is there too. It's Triadi, who is the hot favourites, 6th fastest qualifier, and Keaton, the 7th fastest qualifier. As I said, those heats timings can be pretty deceptive. Don't read too much into it. There were only 9, so they swam and did just enough to get into the final this evening. Right, the 200 meters individual medley for women next. And usually in Southeast Asia there is only one winner in terms of the individual medley when it comes to the 200 and 400, and that is Nguyen Tian Vien. No peers in this region. In fact, even in Asia she is amongst the best, and even qualification into the semi-finals of the Olympic Games too just shows the strength that she has. And this really is her bread and butter, isn't it, Gerald? The individual medley, not just the 200 meters, but also the 400 meters, because this is the reason why she takes part in so many events. I mean, today she's also signed up for the breaststroke event. The reason why she's taking part in so many events of the SEA Games is to make sure that she tunes herself and gets her strokes right for the main big fish, which is the individual medley.
It is. I don't think she has any weak stroke, right? If you think about it, given that she's swimming so many events at this SEA Games, as you mentioned, and she's usually, you know, the top one, if not the top 3. So you know that she doesn't really have any weakness, and you're absolutely right. She's using this competition to practice, make sure she practices all 4 strokes. She's ready to race in all 4 strokes. And when it comes to, you know, bigger competitions like the World Championships, Olympics, Asian Games, then you'll see her, you know, narrow down a number of events she does, and probably focuses more on this individual medley that you just mentioned.
You can tell because her favorite stroke perhaps is the backstroke. And then you can see already what she is targeting for the next season, because the SEA Games usually comes a year before a big event, for example the Asian Games or the Olympic Games. So in 2013, the Asian Games was in 2014. In 2013 she took part in a lot of butterfly events, feeling that that was probably her weakest stroke at that time, in tune for the Asian Games. Now in 2015, in tune for the Olympics, she took part in a lot of breaststroke events, and this time around she's going for the breaststroke events too, so probably she's just working on it for the Asian Games the next time around in Jakarta next year.
It is, and that's the new generation of medley swimmers, right? Look at Michael Phelps. I think he's the one that started it. In the past, you've always had individual medley swimmers who have had maybe good in one or two strokes at most, and then typically weaker in another two strokes. But since Michael Phelps came in, his individual medley, he's top class in almost every single stroke that there is, right? So you're getting this new generation of swimmers where they have really no weakness in the medley race, and that's what Vientiane is working towards.
She certainly has taken a leaf off the books of Katinka Otsu, who is the premier individual medley swimmer in the world at the moment. She is definitely in a class above the rest in terms of IM swims, and she has taken a leap because Katinka uses things like the World Cup, FINA World Cup Championships to actually tune herself with her other strokes before going for the main event. And then when it comes to things like the Olympic Games and the World Championships, that's where you get a little bit of a shock in saying, hey, the Iron Lady's only in 3 events for this? Yeah, because she is concentrated on just mainly the individual medleys. So Tian Vien, don't be shocked at next year's Asian Games that she's only signed up for probably 3 or 4 events at most. It won't be like the SEA Games where she puts herself down for 10. But in this, she will take part in this because she is almost guaranteed a gold medal. And she will be in heat number 2. It's her compatriot who just missed out on the medals yesterday in the 50 meters butterfly, Nguyen Dep Phong Tram, who leads the field out, and the field which includes Samantha Yeo, who won one of her 7 bronze medals in this event back in 2015. She's had a couple of near misses as well, 4th in 11, 13, and then 3rd in 2015. Will there be a progression in terms of the medal rankings in 2017?
Next event, 402, 200 meters individual medley women.
She's another one that lives up to the whole ideal that breaststroke specialists make very good individual medley swimmers. Through the years, it has been the case with the likes of Xiao Yiting dominating this event for a while before Tian Vien's appearance. Samantha Yeo is a breaststroke specialist who came in 3rd the other night in the 50 meters breaststroke in a new personal best. So that new PB bodes well for her and shows that she is in good condition coming to these games. It might give her the full momentum going into the individual medley. She has a very nice early start against the ASEAN University Games champion beside her to her right, Risa Dewi. She's clocked the 2nd quickest time in Southeast Asia this year. And then Nimdan Kanita of Thailand, who was 7th in 2015, currently in 3rd place. So Dewi turns, in fact, just ahead of Nimdam, and then Samantha Yeo. This is another stroke, Gerald, and you would know about this. The backstrokers, those are another breed of guys that make very, very good medley swimmers as well, because it's another one of those specialist strokes.
It is, but I think I am definitely, you're better off being a breaststroker than you are being a backstroker. Backstroke, it's not the slowest leg of the race, right? So it's that generally harder to pull away, and even if you pull away again, because backstrokers don't usually make good breaststrokers, right? And usually on the 3rd leg is where you really can make a big difference. And to be honest, I'd rather be a breaststroker if I'm going to be swimming the individual medley.
Well, Samantha Yeo is, and she will trim the lead that is held at the moment by Risa Dewi in this 50 before heading home for the freestyle leg. Risa Dewi, very much a middle distance freestyle swimmer. So as they always say, if she's got a body length lead after the breaststroke leg, you might as well put this in the books. 2:02 ahead of Samyo. And the rest of them really struggling to keep pace with the front runners in the first heat of the 200 meters individual medley. Risa Dewi, fourth in the last two editions of the SEA Games in the 200 IM, might just finally get on the podium this year, because she looked very comfortable and still won by 3.16 seconds over Samantha Yeo. Nim Dam of Thailand finishes in third spot, and coming on was Nicole Mia Pamintuan of the Philippines, who swam yesterday in the 50 meters butterfly. She comes home in fourth.
The scoreboard is the official result.
Well, the individual medley for a lot of these swimmers, it must be pretty demoralizing coming into this race, knowing that Tian Vien is involved in it the same way that you go into a butterfly race in men and know that Joseph Schooling is there. It's the same effect on the rest of the swimmers, because how are you going to beat the Vietnamese, Nguyen Tian Vien? Tian Vien holds all Vietnamese records in the freestyle, 50 to 200 backstroke and 50 to 200 butterflies. So if you hold records for 3 of the 4 legs of the individual medley, you're as good as winning the individual medley already.
That's amazing. And her breaststroke, the one that she doesn't hold the record for, it's not like she's very slow in it either.
She has been working on it, and she is taking part in the 100 meters breaststroke later this evening. So, you know, we will have a look, because she's working hard enough for it. Give her a year and she probably holds that record in that too. Kwa Ting Wen, let's have a look at her in the individual medley. She has been so strong already in these SEA Games, winning in the 200 meters butterfly. A couple more gold medals for this lovely lady who's given us probably the best disposition of all the swimmers at these games so far, with her pretty goofy antics which have thrilled the crowd. They should have a dedicated camera just on Jingwen for these SEA Games. The Jingwen cam, we would call it, just to see her reactions, because, you know, it's so animated and it's so wonderful to have, because a lot of these swimmers, having done a lot of their work underwater, a lot of them come out and they pretty much don't have a lot of emotions, but this lady is almost the antithesis of a swimmer, Jingwen. And she is the polar opposite. Nguyen Tian Vien, to try to get an expression out of here, costs almost $2 million. Heat 2 of the 200 meters individual medley for women, and it includes a lady who swam faster than anyone in Southeast Asia over the last 2 years. Not Nguyen Tian Vien, but surprisingly Phiangkwan Phawapatako of Thailand. Tian Vien hasn't really been involved in the individual medley over the last year, at least in 2017, only because she has been working on her strokes leading up to this KL Games. So butterfly strokes, Jingwen will keep pace with her. We know that for sure. But once it heads into the next stroke, which is the backstroke, this is where Tian Vien usually pulls away from the rest of the field. Jingwen turns in second spot. She finished third at the Singapore National Age Group Championships, and usually strong at the front and the finish, Jingwen. But if she works on these 2 strokes in the middle part of the race, you just feel that this might be another one of those races where over the next few SEA Games she might really come out in leaps and bounds. Phiangkwan Phawapatako, who is very much a breaststroke specialist as well, will turn looking forward with ambitions to catch up in the next leg. So Tian Vien, as we expected, eating up 45.45 seconds in just that backstroke leg. And this is the one which is supposed to be her weaker stroke, Gerald. And look at that, she's still maintaining that lead.
She's looking good. I'm actually surprised to see her taking out as quickly as she is this morning, given she's got so many events, right? It'll be so much easier for her just to back off and just get into the finals. But I guess this is not her character. Every time she goes into a race, she probably wants to do well.
We just had a peek then, as you were talking, Gerald, a wonderful peek of Nguyen Thi Vien actually during 2 of those breaths, looking over to her left to see what her competitors are doing. I think she knows she's got a healthy enough lead to ease off in this freestyle leg, which she is doing ahead of Papatako. And Jingwen will definitely make the finals this evening. Azahira Pamatani of Indonesia will be there or thereabouts as Nadia Retz of Malaysia struggles to come home in lane number 6. Easy winner with a lot left in the tank of Nguyen Thi Vien. Hua Tsung-wen is expected coming home strong in the freestyle leg. But I really do feel, Gerald, I don't know about you, but if she does work on those middle parts of the race, the backstroke and the breaststroke, this could be bread and butter for her. This might be the race for Jingwen over the years.
Yeah, Jingwen, we saw her butterfly is obviously one of her main strokes, and we know she's good in the freestyle as well. Yeah, if she works on the back and the breaststroke, although easier said than done, working on those 2 strokes, which are very, very different, use very different muscle types. But if she could do it, this could be her bread and butter going forward.
Because we know already that she probably is, at this age at least, much better in the middle distance events and the shorter events. We were talking about it yesterday that in the freestyle perhaps the 200 is probably suited better for her than the 100. She's already won gold in the 200 meters butterfly, and this one working hard on the starts and then just in the middle part of the race making sure that she stays there to attack come the final 50 meters in the freestyle. You might never know, she could be in the mix. But at the moment, in Southeast Asia, it's hard to be in the mix when you're living in the age of Nguyen. Thi Vien winning so comfortably in Heat 2, 2:18.77 without trying. Reza tried a little harder, so she was the fastest qualifier for this evening's finals, and Phiangkwan Papatako of Thailand in 3rd spot. Jingwen did well to finish in 4th, and Samantha Louisa be hoping that she can repeat at least her bronze medal performance of 2015 this evening. So missing out on the finals will be Philippines' Nicole Mia Pamintuan. And Vietnam's Nguyen Diep Pong Tram. Over to the men's 100 meters backstroke in what is a very packed day 4 of competition for swimming. And this is probably one of the races that we're looking forward to tonight. Gerald, we talked about it yesterday already when Hua Tsung-wen won the 200 meters backstroke. That's version 3.0 of the backstroke at the 2017 SEA Games. Will be very interesting because we have the 50 meters backstroke winner who is in Heat 1, Igode Siman Sudatawa. And then we have the 200 meters backstroke winner, Hua Tsung-wen, in Heat 2. So those two will be looking to see and dominate and gain backstroke supremacy for 2017.
Yeah, I think everybody's eyes, those two are the hot favorites. Everybody will be watching out for the 2 of them. But again, yesterday, Francis Fong, he thoroughly impressed me with his 200-meter backstroke swim. And you can be guaranteed that, Zheng Wen and Sudatawa are going to be keeping an eye out for Francis, given what he did yesterday.
He has been so quick this year, Igode Siman Sudatawa. And he impressed with the very first swim of these SEA Games in the 50 meters backstroke. And that's what has made him so strong through the years, the human propeller. quick in his stroke cycles and somehow needing to judge it at least for the first 50 meters. That's what he was saying in terms of his 100. He's totally forsaken the 200 already. And he has said through the years that in the 100, if only he paces it well enough for the first 50 of this race, in the last 50, when he's able to just quicken his stroke cycles and stroke rates, he believes no one can catch him in this race. Do you agree with that?
I think so. He's got the speed we know, especially, right? So once he turns on his propeller, starts moving his arms quickly, like what you mentioned, the windmill action, it'll be very hard for anyone to catch up with him.
Well, in Heat 1, definitely there is no one catching up with him, which includes Kasipat Chokrathin of Thailand and Ricky Angawijaja side by side with him. And he is easing off here. Happy to just get those arms going and make sure that he gets his workout for the morning before a real battle this evening with Zheng Wen. Angawijaja finishing second. He swam 2 nights ago actually in the 4x100 meters freestyle. But it's really not an event that he's looking out for. But he has joked once, and I don't know if you agree with that. He says with his arm movement, he might actually be thinking of the freestyle in the coming years, because he actually joked about it, and someone actually said, listen, think about it, because you might never know with how fast you move your hands. The freestyle might also be some events that you might be pretty good at. Easy victory for Suratawa. Worked on that start, that turn, and it was really bursts of speeds, wasn't it, Gerald, in that heat, and easing up. It was just speeds over 20 meters and then easing up.
Yeah, he worked on his first and third 25 meters of that race, and you saw he took it easy in the second and the fourth 25 meter of that race. I think that's one to get off the walls, get into a little bit of speed, and then back off. And then again, same thing with the second lap. He turned, he kicked off, and then he sped up for a little bit, and then he took it easy for the rest of the way again.
Even then, it went below 60 seconds, 60.53. Chokrathin will be the time to watch, but there are not a lot of swimmers in this event, the 100 meters backstroke, so only one of the 9 going to miss out on it, and Lim Kyodom of Cambodia might be the one, unfortunately, the same way he did miss out on in the 50 meters backstroke. So already a champion in an individual event twice over, Kwa Zheng Wen, over the last 2 nights, in the 200 meters butterfly and the 200 meters backstroke. This is an event where he is a defending champion. In fact, he won all backstroke events at the last SEA Games.
I beg your pardon? Next event.
The same way Suratawa did in 2011, winning all backstroke events from the 50 to the 200. There won't be that repeat this year, because there have already been different winners in the 50 and 200. Who's going to take this evening? Paul Nguyen, already a bronze medalist in the 50 meters version of this event. Is hoping that he is in the mix, but looking at the way Francis swam yesterday, it will be hard-pressed to actually take those 3 out of medal reckoning, because the 3 of Suratawa, Zheng Wen and Francis will be hot favorites to get on the podium in the 100 meters backstroke. Another opportunity for us to look at the very unconventional backstroke style of Francis Fong. Talk us through this. It's right at the bottom of your screen right now.
Yeah, Francis has got this somewhat like a butterfly kick swim on his back, as you can see here, but it enables him to have a very, very quick turnover, somewhat like Suratawa that you mentioned earlier, right? See his hands are like windmills going very quickly, but I think he's going to back off. I hope he backs off at the second 50. I don't think he needs to be going that quick right now. You can see Zheng is just doing it really easy, but look at Zheng's underwater kick. It's so amazing, it's so graceful, it's so easy.
And what causes this ripple in this body movement of Francis, Gerald. Do you know what it is? Is it the leg movement or what is it?
It is the leg movement and the hip movement, but it's so unique. I've not seen it before, but it obviously works really well for him, right? Look at it. I mean, it's a little bit jerky, but he gets into a very, very good rhythm that enables him to swim throughout the race.
Well, somehow it gets him the propulsion, and it really put him way forward. How about that time? 57.96. You're a little bit worried that he went a bit too fast, and he certainly laid down the marker for this evening's finals. 57.96 is a very quick time. And Zheng Wen's looking over at him and saying, what were you thinking of there? Because that was pretty quick.
Maybe he's probably still a little bit excited from yesterday's swim, right?
Yes.
We know that he was so pumped up after the race yesterday where he got a silver and beat his best time by like over 3 seconds.
The official results for event 406.
Well, that look from Zheng Wen over there, I don't know whether it was at what were you thinking of, but it reminded me of what a certain Usain Bolt did to a sprinter at the Olympic Games as well. I believe it was a Canadian sprinter.
Yes.
And he turned over and said, hey, what are you trying to do? It's just a heat. And Zheng Wen touched home and turned around to Francis straight away.
This is Francis's first SEA Games, right? So he's obviously very excited, and he did so well yesterday.
Oh, I think he did ease up. To be fair to him, he did ease up in the final 25 meters. Probably just cognizant of the fact that there is going to be another final this evening for him. And it's just a little over 2 seconds of his personal best time. Zheng Wen, despite taking it easy, has also gone in as the second fastest qualifier. So just the three of them, the three that we suspect will be in the final reckoning below a minute. Suratawa, Zheng Wen and Francis. And amongst the three of them, the two hard favorites, Zheng Wen and Suratawa, really took their time and probably didn't even get out of gear 2.
It'll be an interesting race this evening because Zheng Wen and Suratawa are not going to be able to see one another with Francis in the middle, right? So depending on where Francis is, how well he does this evening. But let's say if Zheng and Suratawa are both ahead, they're not going to be able to see one another. They're really going to have to swim their own races.
Now over to the women's 100 meters breaststroke. And as I was saying, Nguyen Thi Vien is going to be taking part in this, but she will be in heat number 2. This is just one of 4 Vietnamese records that she does not hold. And as we expect, a lot of those swimmers in the individual medley earlier on will be involved in this. Xiao Yiting, who had about 3 titles. I know for a fact that in this event, Jocelyn Yeo won it 7 times in a row.
100 meters breaststroke women.
The last time Singapore won this was in 2007, and that came from Nicolette Teo. Angelica Felicia, swimming in just her second event, the SEA Games. I'm surprised that Roanne Ho is not signed up for this, Gerald, having won the 50 meters breaststroke, but was not really involved in the 100 reckoning at all.
I think given the couple of injuries she's had, right, she hasn't really had much time to train. Like she mentioned in the press, in the interview after the 50-meter breast win, a year ago she wasn't even in the pool, she wasn't even swimming yet, given her punctured lung and her shoulder injury. So I think given that she's only started training pretty much this year, she's known for her speed, but in the 100 meters, yes, it's speed work, but you need a little bit of stamina to bring you home as well. So with the lack of training that she's had, that's probably best that, the reason why she decided to skip this event.
I do feel very good for Samantha Yeo in this event, because looking at her form in the 50 meters breaststroke, and she is better at the 100 and the 50 meters. She shaved off almost 0.3 seconds of her personal best in that event just 2 nights ago. So I think that she will be there or thereabouts, definitely on the podium, I believe, in these evening sessions. She was on the podium in 2015, and she will win heat number 1.
It's a pity though, because she has the 200 IM before this race, right? So I'm not sure if the coaches will make a decision whether she might scratch the 200 individual medley and just focus on this 100 breast.
It's a career, as I said, that has seen 7 individual bronze medals. It'd be good for her to actually win a medal of a different color, even if it's a silver, maybe gold, but the field will find it very hard to catch the Malaysian who is in heat number 2, Fi Jing'en, the defending champion in this event.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Fiangquan Papatako is also another swimmer who has done superbly well in this event through the years. She was 3rd in 2013 and 4th at the last SEA Games, finishing just behind Samantha Yeo in the podium positions. And here she is in heat number 1, finishing behind Sam Yeo yet again. Has done a lot of her swims this year in Canada, Sam Yeo, as she wins heat 1 in a quite impressive 1:11.41. It's a little less than a second off her PB this year. Christy May Chu will take the feel-good factor that she had from winning the 4x200 meters freestyle relay into heat number 2. But as I said, everyone will be chasing, including Tian Vien. She's not used to the word chasing after. She's usually chased after. But this time in this event, Fi Jing'en has clocked at least, has been consistently clocking at least a second and a half faster than the rest of Southeast Asia throughout 2017. The defending champion, who has got a PB this year of 1:08.65. That is almost 2 seconds faster than anyone else in Southeast Asia. Well, all eyes on Vientiane, but Tian Vien, I should say, but I will tell you that Vien is someone who looks at this and says this is really training time for the IM. Iwata of Indonesia might surprise, so too lane number 6. Watch out for Chavanur Salup Luik of Thailand. She was 2nd in this event in 2013. But Fi Jing'en, really, the Malaysians have produced very good breaststroke swimmers through the years, especially in the women's event. And with Xiao Yiting coming up, a lot of them went through the same production line, went through the same coaching as well. You can see a lot of similarities in Fi Jing'en's swim and Xiao Yiting's breaststroke swimming style.
Very, very nice strokes. Very well suited for the 50 and the 100, and that's why we saw her win the get close to, in the second in the 50 meters. But in this event, right, you see her strokes very nice, very comfortable. You know, fairly quick strokes. But I'm surprised again to not see her back off in this race.
She is a very, very aggressive swimmer, Fi Jing'en. As I said, a lot of similarities in the stroke between hers and Xiao Yiting. Perhaps Xiao Yiting stays a lot longer in the water than she does, being more of a 200 breaststroke swimmer than a 100. But the heights that they get up and the whip that they get as well from the strokes, very similar. And that's what usually happens when your country has got a good history of producing a swimmer of a certain ilk and stroke. Probably go to the same coaches, and then the same techniques come about.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and it's not just Xiao Yiting, because right after Yiting there was Christina Low, and now Christina Low has passed it on to Fi Jing'en. Malaysian breaststroke swimming in terms of the women's category in very good hands. She will go into tonight's final, the hot favourites.
I'm not sure why Tian Van even had this event on her schedule. I mean, she's swum so many races. She took it easy on this race. I mean, we know she's got the 800 meter freestyle right after this as well. So surprised that they would even include this, given that she's probably not going to be a medal chance.
Well, sometimes these things, there we go. She definitely will miss the final in this. Look at that time, 1:17.11. Sometimes these things might be about filling in blanks and filling in spaces and making some people happy. It could be the case, you know. We want her to swim in 10. Okay, what other 10? All right, we can't really pick it out, so let's just put her in 1. She can't qualify. Look, she tried her best, but she's been winning the others, so let's not complain about it. And this one, obviously, she doesn't qualify for the finals. Samantha Yeo, a second fastest qualifier behind Fi Jing Eun, and true to form, a second ahead of the field, just like she has been in all of 2017. Now, Joe Schooling's race to lose, the 100 meters freestyle, which will be his final individual event at the 2017 SEA Games. He will be in heat number 2, and Singapore's Darren Lim has been swinging crazy times this year. Gerald, to someone who for a long while found it hard to break 51 seconds, this year he has been consistently going below 50.
It's good. I mean, he was the one that was touted to first break Ang Peng Song's record before Joe and Zheng Wen broke 50 seconds. But you know, he's been one of Singapore's best pure sprinters. You know, I'm glad to see that while he's had a tough couple of years when he was going to school in the UK, I believe. But he's back in Singapore now, training in Singapore, and I'm glad to see that he's found his way back and, you know, swimming very, very well indeed.
Is he still training in Great Britain?
I think he's back in Singapore right now, training with Richard Cheng, who's one of the assistant national coaches at the SEA Games.
So those are the records. Schooling in 2015, Ning Zhe Tao, pretty quick but lost out to Schooling at the Olympic Games, remember? So heat number 1 with Pirot Cheng of Cambodia in lane 2, Raymond Lukman of Indonesia in 3, Darren Lim of Singapore in 4, Keith Lim of Malaysia in 5, Supakrit Panarutana of Thailand in 6, and Ngo Dinh Chuen of Vietnam in lane 7. Will be Lukman of Indonesia to turn first, and then Malaysia's Keith and Singapore's Darren in third. That's one thing I've realized about these swimmers from Singapore. Their kicks off the wall, their streamlines have been so perfect, because every time there is a turn or a bounce against the wall, there's always a Singapore head that surfaces ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, they've really practiced that a lot, and they're the best in the region at doing that. Somewhat different race tactic for Darren Lim here. He took it out. Usually Darren, given his fast speed, he takes it out very quickly and, you know, tries to hang on the second lap. For this race, given the heat, you know, he took it out a little bit easier on the first 50 and then came back quick, which is very unlike him.
Oh, it's very much working on things, isn't it? I think probably, I don't know whether the likes of Vidmar or Gary has spoken to their swimmers, and maybe they've worked out something for the morning heats, and probably was telling Darren, no, let's just take it easy and then go as fast as you can, probably for the final 50, just to see how it feels like before you get to the warm-up pool.
You're absolutely right. That's probably what the coaches told him, given that, you know, they want him to focus more on the second 50, especially in the evening in the finals, right? So I'm sure that's the advice they gave him. Take it quite comfortable on the first 50, work on your turn, work on your underwater kicks, and then see how the second 50 feels.
And he will go back with the AAR to Gary and let him know how it feels for that final 50 meters. But once again, looking very impressive. If he was told to work on his turns, then Gary would probably give him an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for that, because he was third at the 50 mark, and then the moment he exploded off the box for the final 50, he was already ahead of the rest of the field. But he looked good the other night, I have to say. He looked very good at the 4x100.
He did. You know, and swimming in the team relay, you always give it your best shot, right? You're not just swimming for yourself, but you're swimming for your country, and you're swimming for the team, your teammates. And we saw how close, how tightly close the bond is within the 4 swimmers. So it always gives you an extra motivation when you swim in a relay team.
And Triadi, once again, beside Joe Schooling, as he has been throughout in the heats, in the 50 and 100 fly, and now he is beside Joe once again in the 100 meters freestyle. Joseph Schooling is the 100 meters freestyle record holder. In the SEA Games. It's one thing that I've noticed as well, the progression of this event through the years. It was only in 2013 that the first swimmer broke 50 seconds at the Southeast Asian Games. We're talking that's just 4 years ago, all right? So let's be mindful of that. Just 4 years ago in Myanmar, and that swimmer is in lane number 5 besides Joe, Triadi Fauzi. He was the first to break 50 seconds at the SEA Games. That was 49.99 seconds. And then over the years, over the next 4 years, there he is, Triadi. Over the years, the next SEA Games, we had not just Joe, we had Tseng-Wen breaking 50, and we had Joe breaking 49. So the progression in this event in Southeast Asia has been very good and very impressive in that 4-year span. We haven't had a repeat winner in this event for quite some time. Since 2001, we haven't had a repeat winner. Joe Schooling might just do it yet again, working off that start. And then kicking off the wall and probably easing home. This is really where he makes his living. How about that? I mean, this is every time I look at Joe off the wall and I just think, my goodness, we have a world-class swimmer in Singapore.
So graceful. Look at his underwater kicks, right? I mean, we cannot say anything, cannot say enough about his underwater kicks. It's just top-notch. It's so easy, it's so graceful, it's so efficient.
Well, he's dusting off his cobwebs for the morning swim, and even then, he's going a little bit there for the final 25, just to work out on that arm speed a little bit. And Hwang Ki-Fok comes in second spot. 49.85 seconds. He hasn't really gone out of second gear yet. 49.58 seconds. My goodness, Joe Schooling, even when he is not trying absolutely at its hardest best, something below 50 seconds is so easy for this boy.
Yeah, and I think, like you mentioned earlier, I'm not even sure if breaking 50 will get you a medal, guarantee you a medal,
Yes.
right? You just mentioned that, 4 years ago, that was the first time someone in Southeast Asia broke 50. This event is one of the events that has really been brought to a different level with the existing group of swimmers.
I just love the shots. I mean, it's one of the sights of Asian swimming. Joe off the blocks and Joe off the walls. He did work on that final sprint of the 25. Like I said, I don't know whether it's a tactic as well from the coaches just for him. And it's only this event. Well, he's also got the 4x200 meters freestyle for today. Joe's probably so used to swimming those events, and he's had no peers in Southeast Asia for the longest time. But we'll talk more about his freestyle technique a little later tonight when we have the finals. Joe's the fastest qualifier, the only one to dip below 50. Ki-Fok's the only other one to dip below 51 in the heats. So qualifying for the finals, Schooling, Ki-Fok and Darren will be swimming in those lanes 3 to 5. And Triadi Fauzi, look at that, just managing to qualify, And a lot of it's down to the fact as well that he's got an event before that, the 200 meters individual medley. As it's another one of those races where it's Schooling's to lose, for sure. Right, the women's 800 meters freestyle. It will be timed finals, which means that the times of this will be combined with timed final 2 this evening, and the overall winner will be determined from the best times. So this is a final in the morning sessions, and Nguyen Thi Vien is involved in it, surprisingly. The defending champion, the lady who won it in 2015 by 18.14 seconds, the biggest winning margin since Juni Sung won by 34.46 seconds in 1983. There's a huge winning margin by Thi Vien, and she is here in the pool in the morning session, hoping to clock a time, but might not find a lot of
Ladies and gentlemen,
swimmers, just two beside her, but not the same swimmers of her quality to give her the push
100 meters freestyle women.
to perhaps return a very good time. Although, having said that, it's a lady who is used to swimming her own races in Southeast Asia, the way that she's pulled ahead with the rest of the field through the years.
Yeah, she's definitely going to have to be swimming her own race for this 800 meters. You know, no one's going to be close to her. She doesn't know she obviously doesn't know what the times the competitors are going to do this evening. So it's a time final. So she really needs to go out there and just go after it.
So unlike the previous races, this time the swimmers will get their introductions because this is a timed final. Le Thi My Thao of Vietnam swims in lane number 3, 6th in this event in 2015.
Nicole Justin Marie Oliver from Philippines.
Oliver of the Philippines has had a pretty impressive and comfortable 2017 debut thus far. She's in 4. Not just the favorite in this race, but the favorite in the 800 meters freestyle for both morning and evening sessions. Thi Vien is the record holder. No surprises in that. 8:34.85, that time she clocked in 2015. Well, if everything goes as planned, Gerald, we might have our first ever 800 meters freestyle winner coming from the morning session of the time finals.
I think you're right. We were talking about this, right? We don't know whether it's an administrative error where the Vietnamese officials did not put in any times for all Vietnamese swimmers throughout this, right? If you know, or was it a game plan to have her swim in the morning, given that she's got a couple of finals or one final in the evening?
And it is going to be a huge surprise, and it will be as well. I mean, for a lot of people who are going to be attending the evening sessions, they will be watching the 800 meters freestyle. If Thi Vien lays down a huge marker here, which is unbeatable, they'll be watching the 800 meters freestyle, cheering that person on, and that person coming home, and then the victory ceremony happens, and they're looking and saying, it's not the same person. I thought it was a different person who won that final earlier on, and what else we're watching. If you're not used to swimming, because you would have missed the morning session altogether. It's a real shame that she is in the morning session, and that split of 1 minute 33, 60.33, the first 100 in the 800 meters freestyle is insane.
That is a very, very quick split. She's backed off a little bit though. Right after she turned, you can see that now she's slowed down her stroke. She's gone back to a smaller kick. So I think she's getting into her rhythm right now for the rest of the 700 meters remaining.
Well, she did do splits of around about that time. It was almost like, what, 61, 62 seconds, her split times at the 2015 SEA Games to return the time of 8:34.85. Well, only her and Lynette Lim have gone below 8:35 in the SEA Games. In fact, only her and Lynette have gone below 8:40 in the SEA Games. And just 4 swimmers have gone below 8:50, the other one being Benjapon Sriphononton, whom we'll see in the finals this evening. So Nguyen Thi Vien has not just gone below 8:50, she's gone below 8:50 and beyond. There we go, it's a little slower already in that last 100, in fact 64 seconds slower. And we might see those times actually slowing down a little bit more because she has already built herself almost a 20-meter lead in the pool after 200 meters.
And that's still a fairly quick split. I mean, don't forget the first 100 was she had a start, right, and doing 1 minute. So I think maybe you could see her average 31, 32 seconds for the rest of the race per lap.
And that is pretty quick. Well, the first 7 editions of this race were won by Singapore, but they've only won 1 in the last 16 editions, and that was in the 2009 SEA Games. Lynette Lim They have a couple of swimmers swimming for the final this evening. Singapore, Gan Ching Hui and Rachel Singh. Ching Hui, of course, and Rachel both swam in the 400 meters freestyle, and Rachel swam last night in the 4x200 meters freestyle medley. But we'll be watching them tonight. This morning, though, the Viet Phenom has just continued swimming her own races, as she has been doing throughout the years in the SEA Games. And are you surprised by this stat as well, Gerald? Last SEA Games in 2015 was only the first time in 4 SEA Games that the winner of the 400 meters freestyle went on to win the 800 meters freestyle as well.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
definitely very surprising. I mean, obviously both are considered distance races, and surprised that it's never happened before.
Yeah, it's one of those rare moments, and there have been, especially now that open water swimming has been included in it. Benjapon Srifanonton has already won a silver medal in the open water swimming category, and she'll be swimming in it as well in the 800 meters. And we're seeing more and more swimmers, not just here at the SEA Games, but also at world level, competing in both open water and then the long distance, the longest distance in the pool as well. Well, yesterday, Nguyen Thi Vien swam 2 events, in the 100 free and the 50 meters butterfly, and yesterday was the first time since December 13th, 2013 that she did not win a gold medal on a single day of competition in swimming. I mean, that's just a testament to the amount of work and the success that she's had over the last 4 years.
And that's why, as you mentioned, right, when she went out to get her medal, for a silver and a bronze medal, she didn't know where to stand at the podium. She stood at the wrong place because she's not used to standing at the sides, right? She's always used to standing in the middle.
Absolutely. And a lot of it's down as well to the programming, because if they had programmed this race, or maybe even the individual medley yesterday, that streak would have continued. So it's just down to the programming more than anything else, you know, or a slight of her abilities. So we're at the halfway stage.
She's still keeping very consistently at the 32-33 second per lap.
And she is way ahead of second spot, Nicole Justine Marie Oliver, whose personal best this year is actually 8:56.74 as she swam in Indianapolis. And she is eyeing the Filipina record of 8:53.34 clocked in the 2009 World Championships by Erica Totten. Letty Mitao of Vietnam, already a silver medalist at these games in the 200 meters butterfly, is struggling at the moment to keep pace with the other two. But I think for the other swimmers, especially Nicole Justine Marie Oliver of the Philippines, she would be happy to be in the same race as Nguyen Thi Vien, knowing that this is not a heat, so you've got to put down a marker for whatever happens in the finals this evening. Now, if you're swimming with Thi Vien, trying to keep pace with her, you know that you're going to return a pretty quick time, and the rest of the field will be looking at your time more than Thi Vien's to try to get yourself into medal reckoning.
Yeah, of course, it would be that would be the case, right? But it's a pity for her as well, again, because she's swimming the race on her own, because Thi Vien is so far ahead. She doesn't really have much competition from the other Vietnamese girl. It would have been so much better for her to be racing in the evening together with everybody else.
There we go. The swimmers cross paths and meet each other and say hello almost at the 25-meter mark of the pool. So it's almost a full 50 meters length, the difference between first and second at the moment. I dare say it's 35 meters, the difference between Thi Vien and Oliver. And Thi Vien will almost turn at the 50 mark at the same time that Letty Mitao has just turned, heading into her final 200. Thi Vien with no competition at all.
Look at Thi Vien. I mean, her strokes are so efficient, so smooth. You know, it doesn't look like she's even tired at this point.
Oliver will turn just behind Thi Vien, and Nguyen Thi Vien will try to head home and try to rewrite her own SEA Games record of 8:34.85. Although this doesn't pay for her in terms of having to swim alone in the morning, but this might pay off for her in the evening. 7:31.07, I think, 8:34.85 is a SEA Games record. I think that's...
she's got a chance. She's got a very good chance. She's been holding 33 seconds, and this is her last 100. If she goes 32 and 31, she'll get the record.
Yeah, and if she gets the record, she's as good as a gold medalist already. So the rest tonight are swimming for silver, and that can be so demoralizing. As I said, this program might actually suit her because it will get her just in tune, knowing that in the evening sessions, 200 meters individual medley, she can go all out and swim as fast as possible, knowing that this race is already done and dusted in the morning for her. So let's have a look at the time now. 8:34.85, remember, is the SEA Games record, and she is gunning after it. I have a strong feeling that she will get it. She's turning those 2-beat kicks into a 4, 5, 6-beat kicks right now, heading into the final 50 of this race. There we go. A 2-beat turning into a 4-beat, perhaps a little tired, heading into the final 50. She's not going to get the record, but still that is a very quick time. It's not a record, but it is the third fastest time ever swum in SEA Games history. 8:35.55. I don't see anyone in the evening beating that time.
I don't see anyone doing that either, but she's definitely disappointed. It's tough, right? I mean, you swim in 800 meters all by yourself, not knowing what time you're at, how close, there's no one to race you. So I know she's definitely disappointed that, you know, missing that record by just less than a second over an 800 meter race.
And it's also so quiet in the crowd as well. There's a huge difference swimming in the morning and the evening because it's so quiet out there. Sometimes you don't have the atmosphere. And those cheers, this is where the crowd really plays its part in you heading home for the final 50. (8:35.55). As I said, it's the third fastest time swum in SEA Games history. Only her in 2015 and Lynette Lim in 2009 have swum faster than that time. It's a race that she took all out by herself, and there was no one
on the scoreboard is the official results for
among the other two came even a whisker of her. The difference of victory was 35 meters. I'd like to have a look at Oliver's time, because that might be the time the rest of the finalists in this evening session will be looking at.
I think most of them will probably be at the 8:59 minute mark. So easy with, yeah, exactly there, between the 8:50 and 9 minute mark.
8:59.67 is off her personal best, so she'll be hoping that'll be good enough for a medal tonight, but that will be the marker more than Tian Vien's 8:35.55 for this evening's session. This evening session will start at 7 p.m. and you can catch it live on Octo Sports. Remember, it's also the final race, individual race for Joseph Schooling tonight in the 100 meters freestyle. And we hope that you'll join us then on Octo Sports for day 4 of swimming finals from the 29th Southeast Asian Games.
Now, we will have the marching out of technical officials.